Hello, 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 and welcome to week 3 of HIT 500. This week, I want you to read chapters 4, Inpatient Bed Occupancy. If you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to reach out. Also, for those of you watching the playback, let's have some fun with this one. What is the process of making your very favorite dish? Be a family recipe, it could be something that you saw, but here's the challenge. I also want you to upload a photo of that dish. Now, it can be a homemade picture, like you've taken a picture that maybe the family has made, or it can be straight off of the web. But let's see what everyone comes up with. And now I'm turning it over to Career Services.
Hi, good evening. I was gonna say good afternoon. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much to those that are participating today. My name is Leslie, and I'm from the Career Services Department, and I will be the one assisting you with employment and your career development session. So I'm definitely excited to be with you all today. And those of you who are not able to participate this evening, I look forward to working with you all and being here to guide you as best as possible. So today for session 1, we're going to be going over resumes. So we're going to be talking about, how to create a resume. That's going to get you hired, different types of resumes, resume sections, formatting, how to write a reference page, and application strategies. So let's go ahead and dive in. What is a resume? So a resume is your personal marketing document and is intended to showcase your skills, education, notable achievements, and experience. Now, did you know that employers only spend about 20 seconds or even less when reviewing an individual resume? So definitely, you definitely want to make sure that your resume counts, even if it's those short 20 seconds. As a job seeker, it's incredibly important to make it count, right? We want to put straight to the point information, which I'll be getting into as we go over how to format and complete your resume. So there is different common resume types. So the first one that I would like to go over is the chronological resume, which is the most common. It lists your work history with the most recent position listed first. It is preferred by most employers because it's really easy for them to see what jobs you've held and when you worked at them. Chronological resumes work best for candidates with a strong, solid work history. If you are just beginning your career or changing fields, you might consider maybe a different type of resume. We can cater the resume to your experience. So the next one is the functional resume. So that one focuses on your skills and experience rather than your chronological work experience. So it is used by candidates who are changing careers or who have gaps in their employment history. It may not include employment history at all, or may have a brief list of work history at the bottom of the resume. So we're really showcasing more of your skills rather than your work history. I would say that it's not always favored by hiring managers. They may think, what is the candidate trying to hide, because many people use more of the functional type of resumes. However, it's not something to discourage you if you don't have the work history. That's why I'm here, right? I'm gonna be here to really talk about your skills, really showcase them, and that's where we can go into more detail and really cater it to you. So for the third one, It is the combination resume. So it's a mix between chronological resume and a functional resume. So it really highlights your relevant skills while providing chronological work history. And it emphasizes what makes you the best candidate for the job while still providing all of the information an employer wants, like work history. Does anyone have any questions so far on the different types of resumes?
No, not so far.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. So let's go ahead and dive into the sections of a resume. So the identification section, it consists of your name, location, telephone number, email address. I do recommend having a professional email address. You definitely want to avoid Johnny's Mama at hotmail.com as an example that we have there. Having a very straightforward, Amy Jones at gmail.com. Very, it's professional. And believe me, I have seen some unprofessional email addresses. So I definitely stress to you that make sure that you do have a separate email if you don't have one already. So you see how the example, it says John Smith and he's located in Los Angeles. I do recommend having your city and state rather than your entire address, because what happens is as an HR or an employer, they're going to look at how long it's going to take you to get to work. And sometimes that can hinder you from an opportunity because they're going to assume that it's going to take you a while to get there. They're not going to, they don't want it to be where it's inconvenience for both of you. And they want to make sure that you're reliable, right? So definitely straight to the point, your name, city, state. You can put your zip code. That is okay if you'd like, but city and state is fine. Your most recent phone number and again, your email. And for the next part, it is optional, but it is your objective and your profile statement. So it is located at the top of your resume under your identification section. So it's 2 to 3 sentences summarizing who you are as a candidate. And this section isn't always necessary. So if your statement sounds too generic, you can always skip it. But I find it useful to utilize the objective, because you can talk about you know let's say you are bilingual. You can state Spanish bilingual candidate looking for an opportunity in health information technology, and so forth. So you can tailor it to you to where it's like you're introducing yourself, right? So I do recommend it, but it is case by case. So if you don't feel like it's really something that you need, we can go over it and talk about it, but it is optional. Now for the next one, it is your skills and qualifications. You definitely want to limit your skills section to hard skills, languages, equipment, computer skills. Don't include subjective self-assessment like strong communication skills or excellent leader. They don't carry that much weight with employers, because it's they want to know exactly what skills you have that are tailored to their position. So let's say for example, with health information technology, what programs have you worked? You definitely want to know, they want to know that you're familiar with medical terminology, that you've had patient exposure, you have that patient care, you have that interaction, those personal skills. So having those hard skills and specific skills rather than more of the general ones are what's going to make you more successful and more appealing as a candidate. So you only want to list skills that you're comfortable and confident in, because the last thing I would want to do is you have something on your resume that you're not all the way confident in, and they're just kind of just throw you in. And I don't want it to set you up for failure. So definitely just putting in information, skills, and qualifications that you are for sure certain with. That way, you're able to just go in, say, this is who I am, this is my capabilities, this is the knowledge I carry, and and go from there. And as you go, you're gonna gain more skills, right? That's with the experience and that exposure in the field, it's gonna continue to grow. So if it's not a lot, don't let that discourage you. I'm here to help you as best as I can, so we can go over that on an individual case by case basis. Okay. So education, you definitely want to list the degrees that you have received in reverse chronological order with your most recent education. So definitely you want to put CBD as your most recent. Include the name of each institution and the location, city and state. Again, if you're a recent graduate, include your graduation year. Otherwise, you can leave it off. Sometimes it is common for people to exclude it to avoid age discrimination. However, if you are in a position where that does happen, please let me know, and we can go over that individually. Most new graduates should list their education section before their experience, because education is often your strongest qualification. So that is definitely important, because you know and with health information technology, I've seen that sometimes entry level positions, they don't require the education that you have, so that gives you an advantage. I've seen positions that only require a high school diploma or a general education, but because you have the degree and you have that qualifications, and hopefully your certification once you get to graduation, you'll be able to really be the better candidate because you come with that education. So you want to definitely list any achievements and or honors as a bullet point under your education. So if you've had like maybe a student ambassador, your GPA, dean's list, any awards or special recognition that you have, you definitely want to add that to your resume. And you do not include your high school, because obviously if you have your degree, you have some type of high school education or your general education, so they're more than likely only going to focus on your college education, on your college degree. Okay, does anyone have any questions so far, or anything
No.
that stuck out to you? No? Okay, perfect, thank you. So number 5 is the experience. So you definitely want to list your work history, starting with your most recent job, as we previously discussed, externships included. I know that you guys have the 40 hours. Is that correct? Correct, Miss Teresa? Yes. Okay, perfect. So you definitely want to put that as your most recent, so they can see where you completed your externship, what you did there, what kind of exposure that you have there, because that's what you're doing out in the field. So that's definitely something that they're going to be paying attention to. Include the name of the employer, your title, the dates that you worked there. You do not need to include every job that you've had. You can exclude jobs that don't really strengthen your candidacy, right? If it's really irrelevant to what you're applying for, then feel free to leave it off. And if you have some questions that you may feel like maybe it will or maybe it not, I can go over that with you, and we can try to see which experience fits best with your resume. Okay. You want to create a bullet point list under each position for achievements, duties, and skills performed at each job. As I previously stated, the employer wants to see exactly what did you do and how those skills can be transferable to your current position that you're applying for. So for number 6, these are optional sections, which is the volunteer work. If you have volunteered, that is impressive or relevant to your field or what you're applying for. It's fine to skip if you don't have anything notable. Hobbies, you can list hobbies as long as they are related to your field and or work. You definitely don't want to put that you like to go hiking on your resume or any personal hobbies. So definitely keep it professional and relevant to what, your field of work and what you're going to be doing. But because we want to keep your resume to a specific length, which is actually what I'm going to be going over next. You don't want to put too much information to where it's kind of taking away from your skills and your experience. Okay. So resume length, you should be as concise as possible. Remember, hiring managers only spend about 20 seconds scanning your resume. So as a graduate, your resume should be limited to 1 page. However, if you have relevant experience that is going to strengthen your candidacy, then we can go over that and kind of tailor it to where it's really going to help you instead of affect you in a negative way, right? So we definitely want to, like I said, be straight to the point with all of the information because of the 20-second scanning of your resume. So resume design considerations. So less is more. Make sure that your resume is organized, concise, and easily skimmed. Simple, traditional formatting is usually best. Fonts and size, you don't want to use ornate fonts that are difficult to read. Your font size should be between 10 and 12, depending on the font. I like Times New Roman. I think that's what it's called. That's what I like to use for resumes because it's very clean. But that's just a recommendation that I personally like to use. Page margins, your margin should be 1. You can use half margins if you are trying to reduce the length of your resume, but don't go any more narrower. Your layout, be sure to keep each section uniform. If you bold one company name, make sure that all company names should be in bold, so everything matches. References, they do not need to be included. Those can be on a separate sheet, or we'll go over it a little bit later. But you definitely want to use a separate sheet for references if needed. Accuracy, you want to check for spelling, grammar, tenses, etc. And this is where I come in, where I can just proofread your resume, make sure that everything is correct. You definitely don't want to make a mistake and then it just confuse the employer. So this is where I come in and I go ahead and assist you with that. Now we do have a resume activity. We can get into groups and take 5 minutes to review the resume, but because I only have 2 here, we can just do it together. So let's go over during our interaction right now. So we're gonna share what they found right or wrong with their assigned resume. Okay. Now let me see if I can get a resume here. Sorry, can you guys still see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it still on the PowerPoint?
No.
Okay. Can you guys see the resume? Yes?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Sorry, it's because this is not. Okay. So let's go ahead and touch on the identification section. So do we see anything right or wrong there?
The address.
The address.
The entire address is viewable.
Correct. So as we said before, we definitely want to make sure that we don't put the exact address, right? Keep it to state, city and state, right? So that would be the error there. What about the career objective?
I think it looks okay.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead and read the objective for me, please?
Certified medical assistant seeking a position within a clinic or hospital while bringing an enthusiastic and professional attitude and the advanced understanding of patient care techniques and medical assistant skills will be utilized for the overall. There's like grammatical errors or like
Punctuation, right?
punctuation errors.
Yeah, it's like
Lots of
one
commas.
big, it's one big sentence, right? That's why I was like, let's read it first, you know. So you definitely want to
Okay.
into the commas, the like you said, the punctuation, because that could have easily been a 2 to 3 sentence adjective, right? But they made it into one sentence. So definitely, I'm here for proofreading. I'm here to help you with that. So that's not a problem, but good catch. So let's go over the skills. So do you see any? I'll give you a few seconds to go over.
Right off the bat, you can see she has spelling errors, or he has spelling errors.
Where exactly?
It says ability to establish a rapport with medical personnel and patients, and it would be report, wouldn't it?
Rapport, like I
Like
think
you're
that's
building
spelled
rapport
correctly,
with your
actually.
colleagues.
What was that?
So building rapport is I believe that's the correct spelling if I'm not wrong. But so I'll double check.
I think it is.
Then I read it wrong because I was thinking a report as in like a medical report.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is spelled correctly, but it's when you're building that relationship with your medical personnel, which would be your colleagues and your patients. So it's just establishing that relationship with them. So so let's go more into depth, right? So you see how it says BLS CPR certified. The C is not capitalized. Having that, making sure that that's correct. Professional customer service skills for specialized patient care. I just want to touch on that one because that is a transferable skills. If you do have customer service skills, that can that can be a transferable skills. But for the most part, I feel like it looks pretty good, right? Unless I'm missing something. Right?
I think it looks good.
Yeah, I think it looks good too. Okay. Now let's go down to the professional experience. So, you guys see anything that sticks out to you? So we see that they have the employer name, right? City, state, medical assistant is in bold, and the next one is also the same. However, you see that there's a right here, the dash is smaller than this one. So you want to make sure that
Right.
matches. It does have, it's in chronological order. So you have your most recent, and the one before that. You have the exposure of what you're doing. But for the most part, they're both pretty similar, right? For the most part.
Yes.
Perfect. But do you see anything else that may have stuck out to you? Or do you think that there's anything right or wrong there?
They put filing as part of their skills twice.
So that's an error that you caught, right? So definitely you want to make sure that you're not inputting the same information, especially on the same employer, right? Good catch. I didn't see that one because it's tiny over here, but I saw it over here. So good catch. Okay, so let's go down to the volunteering. Now, do you feel like it's relevant to the previous positions and the overall objective of what they're looking for?
Yeah, since I would say yes, since it's healthcare related. Oh, we don't know what they're doing there, but they're in a hospital setting, so I'm assuming they're getting some type of hospital experience
Correct.
or healthcare experience, I mean.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with the St. Jude and the Kaiser. I'm not sure about the CHP event because the CHP, if I'm not understanding, it's California Highway Patrol. Correct? Yeah. So I don't know if that's,
Oh, I don't know.
because if
I'm
it's
from
an event
Texas.
information center, yeah. So what if they're giving information about, highway patrol? So I think with the St. Jude and the Kaiser, it would have been enough because we don't know exactly what they're doing at this event, right? And I know they participate in healthcare related events, but this one is an event information center. So that one can be a little tricky. So I would have kept it good at the St. Jude and the Kaiser for sure. Now, okay, let's move on to education. So she has the CBD college, we have the diploma, medical assistant, the graduation date, Long Beach City College, and then the dates. So what do you think about the Long Beach City College?
Well, they didn't get an actual degree or certification there, so maybe they were just taking courses in the interim in between.
Correct.
So would we not?
Right. So you wouldn't add it to your resume because you didn't receive a degree. So you only have those courses, but you don't have that set, degree to really show for the education that you received at Long Beach City College. So that one, you can go ahead and remove if this is a situation that you are in. Not that it doesn't matter or it's not important. You just want to make sure that you have the legitimate degrees that you have received. And what about the high school diploma?
You said that we didn't need to include it since we already show we have the diploma from the college.
Exactly, correct. Nice catch. So the high school diploma is not needed because, you need that a type of education in order to even get into college and, and be able to enroll. So as long as you have the CBD college education, that'll do. So great job. Great job. This was fun. There were some things that, minor little things, but they make a big difference, right? So you definitely want to make sure that when you're reviewing your resume that you are very careful. All right. So can you guys see the PowerPoint? Yep. Okay, perfect.
Yes.
So we're going to go over some common resume questions. So should I use 2-column resumes? So 1 column is definitely recommended. When you split your resume to 2 columns, your experience is limited to a portion of the page width. So you're going to lose a lot of space for listing your skills, your accomplishments, the things that hiring managers care about the most. You want to remember that your resume is a living, breathing document, which means that it's constantly updated and changing with the new skills and experience that you are receiving. So 2 columns can really reduce the amount of space to add additional skills and experience. And 2-column resumes can be a good fit for someone who has very minimal work experience. However, I do recommend, my number one recommendation is the 1 column, because then you're able to just continue to grow that 1 resume rather than having to create a whole new resume because of the 2 columns and it's limiting you on space. Okay, so next question. Should I lie on my resume to help myself stand out? You know, he has a Pinocchio nose. You definitely do not. Lying on your resume is always a bad idea and can sink any job offer you may have received otherwise. You know, a lot of the times they're going to verify this information. So you'll be very likely to be caught during a reference check. Lying on your resume can cause issues and backfire later in your career. You know, a lot of industries, especially the healthcare field, is a very well, everyone knows everybody, or they know someone that knows you, right? So, and they're gonna take their word for it because they know this individual. They're gonna take, you know, and you may not have used them as a reference, but they're gonna ask about you, you know. So it's very important that you don't lie or, you know, cause any issues that are gonna harm you later on. It's a competitive job market already, so you don't want to stand out by lying. You know, stand out by creating a strong resume that outlines your experience and achievement. So how much do resume gaps matter? So this is an important question. You know, gaps typically don't become an issue for employers until they are about 6 months or longer. You know, when employers see long gaps in employment, they wonder, you know, what happened? You know, they raise a question of whether there might be something concerning behind it. So you will need to demonstrate that there is nothing concerning behind your gap. You might consider addressing your gap in your cover letter or maybe during your interview. You know, patterns matter. If you have multiple gaps and you know, employers are going to wonder why. So if it's like education, you decide to take some time off to continue your education, or if a family member was ill, so you took some time off to care for them, you know, these different scenarios and different reasons you can bring up, because more than likely they're going to ask you, oh, there I see some gaps, you know, what happened there? And you don't have to go too into detail. You know, just be straightforward on the reasoning why. And if you have some questions about that or about your any situation that you have, I can go over that with you individually so that I can best assist you on how to answer that question. Because I know sometimes we can get stuck on certain questions when we're interviewing. What do I put on my resume when I have 0 work experience in the medical field? So you want to be sure to include your education, your training, any additional certifications or licensing that you may have. You should be listing your externships under your experience section because they may be a requirement, but they're, you know, they're real jobs, they're real experience. So you definitely want to put that there. You can include positions you've held outside the medical field. They often have transferable skills, which we did go over. So we can go over that if you have some questions regarding specific experiences. You know, consider volunteering to add experience to your resume. Again, you want to make sure that it is relevant to your field. How far back should my resume go? So generally, your resume should only go back 10 to 15 years. Rarely will anything older strengthen your candidacy. Listing older jobs can also add a lot more length to your resume and reduce the impact of more important or recent experience. So exceptions to this are if you've been in the same job for 10 plus years, or if you've had something extremely impressive prior. You know, we can talk about that and you know, kind of maneuver and, you know, cater to that. Remember, your resume is a marketing document and you're not required to list any job if you think your resume would be stronger without it. Okay, so is there any additional resume questions that you kind of thought of while I was going over the information, or anything that kind of stuck out to you? Anybody? I'm taking that as a no. Yes? Okay. All right, let's go over references. So start compiling your references as of now. Ask your instructors, and extern supervisors to see if they're willing to give a reference if your externship isn't available to hire you. Because I know with 40 hours, I feel like they may seem it's not enough time to really, get to know you and see. But in other cases, it's not. But definitely having them as a reference is important. Most employers will require 3 references, but some require more. And that is very true. Sometimes they require even 5 to 10. I don't know why, but it could be pretty lengthy. So you definitely want to see, if you can gather some more. Past managers and supervisors make the best references, but it is okay to use peers. Your colleagues that you work directly with. You do not need to list your current manager. Employers will understand. Now with that one can be tricky because if you're applying to a position and your current manager or supervisor doesn't know, it's completely okay to, to not have that supervisor or manager, aware of what you're doing. So that's completely okay. References should not be included on your resume. They take a valuable real estate that could be better used to show off your experience, and you want to be mindful of references contact information. So you want to use a reference sheet to list your references. That way, you have separate documents for everything that's needed, like cover letter, your resume, and then your references, right? So how do you create a reference sheet? So you want to use the same header from your resume so everything matches. List your references, full name, title, company, / department, their address, phone number, and email. Some employers require you to list the years you've known them on your resume. Make sure you ask for permission first. Never use someone as a reference before asking them. So, you definitely want to make sure that even though they said, yeah, you can use me as a reference, remind them, oh, hey, I applied to a new position, even if it's been some time since the last time you used them, so they know and they're aware that you're still utilizing them as a reference. So definitely just keeping them in the loop with that, and asking for permission, because what you don't want to do is catch them off guard, or maybe they're upset that you're using them as a reference. So permission is always important. You will submit your reference page once the employer asks for it. Sometimes when you're creating applications, like let's say hospital, they do ask for it before. I'm not sure why, but because usually they contact references once you've interviewed and they're considering you as a candidate. But nonetheless, when it is asked for, you should be providing that to them. So some application strategies. Many jobs require an application in addition to your resume. Sometimes they don't. For example, if I'm submitting your resume directly to them, they may not need an application. It is fine to copy the information from your resume and paste it into the application. Employers often require applications to ensure they receive all of the information they want and have to sign off about the accuracy of the information. So, if you see job duties, for example, and they want you to explain, don't enter, see resume, they want to see it on the application. And you definitely don't want to leave any blanks when you're completing applications. If it doesn't apply to you, then you would put not applicable, right? So no, don't leave any empty spaces. Be sure to proofread your application prior to submitting. It's very normal to ask that your current employer not to be contacted if asked. List your externship experience on your application just as you did on your resume. And the majority of the employers do not want to receive follow-up phone calls and emails from applicants. If they're interested in interviewing you, they will contact you. So there is no need to constantly, try to contact them. Just send your information, your resume, application, and they will be contacting you if they're interested. Okay. So before your next career development session, you will need to submit your resume into Moodle for grading and feedback, which I will be the one grading and providing feedback to you. So I'm not quite sure exactly when the next session is, but it will be on cover and thank you letter, so we can dive in a little bit more. But if you can please upload your resume into the Moodle so that we can I can do that grading and feedback, and then we can go a little bit over on the next session. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing. Can you guys see me? Yes? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So I do want to thank you all for participating with me today. I appreciate you all. And if you guys don't have any other questions, are you guys okay? Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to seeing you guys next time. And please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or need help creating your resume. Okay?